What does it take to champion a cause? Is passion enough, or must it be paired with something deeper? In this episode, we'll explore how to ensure the causes we fight for are just and how to approach them with integrity and honor. Hello and welcome to the new Ashla podcast. Today we continue with the series inspired by the book, The Light Within, A Journey Through the Axioms of Ashla. I am your host and author of The Light Within, Justin Gates. And today I am joined by Michael.
Hey, how you guys doing?
You don't care how I'm doing, you just care about how they're doing. I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
Glad to hear it. I figure it was rhetorical.
It's fun. So the axiom of light the axiom of light that we'll be talking about today. When championing a cause, be certain that it is just and that your conduct is appropriate. Before we fight for any cause, we really should ensure that it is rooted in justice. Those who walk this path, the path that we promote, the path we teach, the path that we demonstrate here. Everything we do, we should try and ensure that it's rooted in justice and truth before everything else. Equally important, though, is that our actions reflect the values that we seek to uphold, that we practice every day, and that maintaining conduct that is consistent with our path is also important. Justice is a fundamental principle of the path of light. It's an expression of balance and harmony within the universe. Seek justice, but love only mercy.
You know, when we talk about this axiom, it really takes me back to a concept you taught me long ago about the 10 rules of engagement. And the 10 rules of engagement, just to be specific: 1, let the force be your guide. 2, know your motives for becoming involved. 3, seek to know the motives of others involved. 4, be aware of outside motivators. 5, understand the dark and light in all things. 6, learn to see accurately. 7, open your eyes to what is not evident. 8, exercise caution even in trivial matters. 9, examine closely who benefits and how they do so. And then 10, examine closely who is harmed and why. Now, the reason this is so important is because it gives you multiple layers of perspective whenever you want to take on any cause that you want to champion. So often we hear something or we see someone struggling and we want to jump in and be nice. We want to do the best we can to make the world a better place. But without perspective, without clarity, it's easy to get drawn into something that could inevitably end to something much worse than what you actually think you're fighting against. So let's break down these different rules. Let the force be your guide. You know, we talk about intuition, God, the universe. I call him Gus, God, universe, spirit. It's we don't listen to the internal factors within us telling us what's happening, then we shove that down. Our nervous system is designed to guide us, to let us know what's going on, to give us perspective beyond what we have from the normal senses. And so it's important to do that.
Yes, it is important for us to do that. The thing about number 1 here is that the force, as we believe it to be, is infinite, and it flows constantly, and it seeks balance and harmony in all things. The universe is interconnected. Every single one of us is interconnected with the other. All living things, all inanimate things have the force that flows through them and connects them all together. So it is very important for us to pay attention and to be aware of how things are connected. And this really starts to build upon itself, these 10 rules of engagement, they start to build upon themselves, and they start to build upon the awareness that you must have before you take on anything. In this context, we're talking about championing a cause. And there's a lot of causes out there for you to champion. But it's really important that you start to see and become aware of how things are connected. The intuition part is very important. But without awareness, we can't even start this journey. We can't even begin to take the necessary steps towards successfully championing a cause, in this case. If we start this off with the wrong foot, if we ignore our gut feelings, if we ignore how things are connected, if we forget that everything we do, every action we take affects not only us, but everything connected in that web, then we really start to step off into calamity pretty fast.
And it's the truth. Number 2, know your motives for becoming involved. And this might seem like an obvious one at first, but you really need to step back when you want to really get involved in something. What are your motives? Could it be attachment? Could it be resentment? What emotions could be guiding you to be involved in something? If you step back and look at it, does this cause align with my values? Does what they stand for align with my values? Does doing what I'm trying to be involved with align with who I am as a person and what I stand for? And really looking at it from all angles, because you can have a great slogan, but you look in the small writing and there could be a lot of stuff there you don't realize you're getting involved in. And that goes for everything from causes to people. So be aware what it is that drives you to act.
Yeah, it's very important to understand our alignment with all things. But in the context of this axiom, those of us who follow and teach and demonstrate the path of light, it's really important for us to understand quickly, sooner rather than later, if something does align with our principles. And though, just to name a few, fairness, compassion, does this cause that we're championing promote balance? Does it benefit as many as possible connected? Does it benefit people in a fair way? Does it benefit people in a compassionate way? These principles that we teach and that we demonstrate are very important to us. I'll also say these principles that we practice, probably better to say these principles that we practice. If we are championing a cause or leading a cause or fighting for a cause that doesn't line up with who we are practicing to be, with who we demonstrate to be, with who we say we are, then again, you're not going to find much good in that. You're going to start to maybe even lose yourself a little bit and compromise some of these principles that you're practicing. You may start to see that this group or these whatever it is that you're championing, they don't align up into a point where you have to start deciding whether you're going to compromise some of these.
Yeah, 100%. And then number 3, seek to know the motives of others involved. And there's a couple different aspects to look here. Look at other people who are championing this cause. What is it that drives them to be involved in this? Is it their values and morals that they're trying to uphold and present to the world as they champion this cause? Or is there something deeper happening to them that's making them react and use this as a tool to do so? Also, look at the people who are creating these causes, who are at the top. What is their purpose? What is their involvement in these different things? Because very often you could find out that people at the top are doing this just to get a reaction, to get benefit. The only example I can really think of off the top of my head is I used to work for a big company, and they had a fundraiser they threw every year called United Way. And on the surface, it was great. Let's do bakeries, let's do stuff like this, let's fund the community. But in the end, you look at the profits, most of the profits went back to the company. So it's important to really know what the motives of others involved in this causes. What is the real mission of the causes you are championing?
Yeah, are they rooted in someone's ego? Does the cause just stroke someone's arrogance, someone's ego, someone's need to be important? Is it a cause rooted in vengeance? No. Vengeance is the dirty cousin of justice. Or was there a misunderstanding or a misrepresentation Or was there misinformation that created this mob to go after somebody or go after another group? It is important for you to realize and to be aware of and to highlight the good things, but also be honest about the bad things. And I know this is very tough to do when you really feel passionate about something, but you must judge a cause based on first your principles and how you want to carry yourself, because vengeance is not the way for us, and we seek harmony. Does this thing, as I said just a few minutes ago, does it align? And if it doesn't align, you need to be honest about that with yourself and decide whether you're going to continue to carry yourself as a carrier of light, or are you going to compromise that or leave it altogether to join a cause that is in opposition of that is in opposition of what you believe.
So true, though. And then it goes right into be aware of outside motivators. Often when you want to champion a cause, you got your eye on the prize. You got your energy being invested straight towards what you're trying to take action with. But look for any of the discrepancies. Look for any convoluted areas that you might not be aware of. What are outside influences that are impacting this cause you are championing? How transparent are the people that are involved with this cause you are championing? It is important to be aware of anything that could impact the mission at hand that you had no idea. You could be working your butt off to help. And when we get involved in certain situations, we don't see all the outlying factors when it comes to people or situations. And when we don't have all the information, that could lead to devastation both for ourselves and what we're trying to accomplish. It is vital to have as much information as possible, and while you are championing the cause, to be gaining as much information as you can through the process.
Yeah, like for example, how are others conducting themselves? How are the leaders of this cause? If you're not one of the leaders of this cause or the founders of this cause, how are they conducting themselves, especially when stuff gets hard or the cause starts to struggle for one reason or the other? Pay very close attention to how they conduct themselves during crisis, because that speaks much more loudly than the pamphlets or the literature or the speeches or whatever of the cause itself. Do they react violently when they didn't try maybe a peaceful resolution first? Are they arrogant? Are the leaders and founders arrogant? Are you finding yourself to be arrogant? You got to check yourself while you're checking them. But ultimately, how are they acting? How are they treating others in the cause? That will tell you everything you really need to know, because things get hard. Life gets hard, and when you're struggling or you're fighting for something to bring a cause to light, there is going to be a struggle, because with every cause there is an opposition. And if the cause that you're championing does not first seek knowledge over ignorance, and they go right to just fisticuffs. There's an old guy word, fisticuffs. If they go right to that, then for me, that tells me everything I need to know. They didn't even try. And they're arrogant about it. Because with every cause and every battle, there's always a winner and loser, and you don't always win them all. And how you shake that off and how you stand back up will tell you everything you know about not only the credibility of the cause, but whether you should still be a part of it if you walk this path, if you walk the path of light. Because really, when things get tough, as we teach over and over again, it's better to bring ourselves to a calm and respectful place, to be disciplined in that, to be disciplined in our practice of our agreements and of our axioms and of our precepts and our practice of these rules of engagement, because that's the kind of thing that inspires trust and credibility, and it will get you more support.
No, and I think that ties right into the next part, which is understanding the dark and light in all things. I mean, one thing I've been trying to get into practice in is if there's something that I am passionate about, I will read what the opposition has to say, because you will find grains of truth within their ideologies. You must look at the balance of something. There is no cause that is pure good or pure evil. There is balance in all things. And so it's important to understand what is the light and dark in the things you are getting involved in. What are could be the hidden motivators? What could be the true best course for this path to go? Only through conversation, debate, discussion can we really cultivate truth and awareness within the struggles that we face and that we champion. And that is why communication and conversation is so important, because without a clear picture, we'll be lost in our own light, and therefore we will refuse to see the shadows that accumulate behind us.
Yeah, and this reminds me of balancing passion with wisdom, using discernment as a tool to ensure that you keep your passion in check. We all, look, you can be passionate, and you should be passionate about the things that you believe. But always, 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 especially if you are on this path, temper all things with wisdom. Temper all things with wisdom. Because look, when you're championing a cause, there is kind of this requirement for some emotional energy. You have to have some. You have to believe in it. You have to have faith in it. It has to grow your heart and be something that you can attach yourself to for the greater good of whatever the cause is seeking to do. But you must temper that with wisdom and discernment. Without discernment, you will fall victim to many of these things, both dark things and light things. Balance in all things. We don't seek to destroy the dark, we seek to harmonize with it, because we all have that aspect of us. And everything in the universe has those aspects to them. It's just when you look beyond the human perspective, you see all perfect balance in the universe, because the force in all things seeks balance, right?
Yeah.
And also, you know, you need to, when you're balancing your passion with discernment and wisdom, it helps you ground yourself in patience, and it helps you ground yourself in a sort of humility. And these things will help you prevent recklessness. It's easy to get caught up in things. Even the best of us get caught up, especially when we're passionate and we really love something. So
Ain't that the truth?
so balance your passion with wisdom. Many people on this path, a lot of our colleagues, we'll call them, and many teachers on this path, on the broader path, will say passion, no passion, no passion, no emotion. And I think those teachers are kind of starting to fall off, and I think most teachers and groups and orders are starting to understand, or they do promote balance and harmony. But just in case, I'll always remind you, temper your passion with wisdom, with discernment. Stay grounded in patience. Stay grounded in humility.
Yeah. And I think that ties right into number 6, which is learn to see accurately. The more we can have awareness to all the components, the more clarity we have on anything we champion, the more we can see things accurately and for what they are. And that is probably one of the most important things about anything you choose to endeavor on in your life, any cause you choose to take up, and any path you walk. The more you can see accurately and outside of yourself, the more you can see things from perspectives outside of what you see, the more you can cultivate awareness and understanding and approach things with a calm and patient mind. There's nothing more important than that.
Yeah, and at the center of that, once again, is truth. Truth will set you free. You must be honest. You must be transparent. You must be truthful. Because if you're not, then you will not see the potential calamity or the potential gain. You won't see the good things. You won't see the bad things. You'll be trapped up in confusion, and your mind will be clouded, and your actions will be haphazard. Do your best to maintain truth at the center of all of this. And don't deny it. When somebody says something, or you see people acting in a way that is opposite of truth, that are untruth or misleading, or there's misinformation purposely put out there about a cause or about the opposition, throw a truth bomb at that and see what happens. Illuminate that Illuminate all things with truth, because then you'll see what's really going on. And you won't be blindsided by a small, narrow picture. Truth. Truth in all things.
And this is just how they keep building on one another, each of these steps, because number 7, open your eyes to what is not evident. Any cause you champion, you will only get the lip service and the front in which is being provided as a way to get people involved. You must try to find the information that is not evident. Again, I can't stress enough how important it is to find out what the opposite of this cause is. What are their ideals? What is it they stand for? Why do they stand opposing this cause? Again, it doesn't mean you have to agree with them by any means, but it does give you clarity to see where the cracks in the cause you are championing is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I have nothing to add to that. It's well said.
We get to number 8, exercise caution, even in trivial matters. Often it's the trivial matters is where we get caught up the most, or not caught up, but we miss the most important details. I know there's an axiom for this, and it's escaping me at the moment. Do you know what it is, Justin?
Not off the top of my head, there's 150 of them, but there is an axiom for this.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important when there is a lull, I believe is how it goes at the beginning. It is important to sharpen yourself in periods where things seem simple. The more we exercise awareness and vigilance, especially when things seem simple and easy, is pivotal, because in those moments are when real things could be happening that we are unaware of within this cause. You look at the Germans when they went into poverty after World War I, and they were going through the trenches, and Hitler came up and was like, I want to fuel the economy, I want to bring this country back, I want to do all these things, and the people rallied to him. No one knew the direction he was going to take things. And as things started getting good, people became complacent. As people became complacent, major changes happened that inevitably altered the course of history, as well as the hell that transpired beyond that. So again, exercise caution, even in trivial matters.
Yeah, I was just doing my job. That's what a lot of them said when they got arrested. Just doing my job. I just, everyone else was doing it. This reminds me of a couple of our precepts of knighthood. And they go like this. I am attentive and focused, being aware of my surroundings always, knowing what danger I may face within my travels will keep me safe and prepared. And I am wise and mindful. I am always prepared for a situation by being open to all possibilities. This kind of lends itself to the idea of danger. And that's a little dramatic for what we're talking about here, but the idea and the practice is still the same, even in small things, right? We should be cautious, and we should trust but verify. We should always keep our eyes and our awareness open to any possibility, even if even when everything goes right the whole time up until a certain moment. And if we're not prepared, and if we're not aware, and if we're not being truthful and honest with our continued and constant evaluation of things, uncertainty will spring itself upon us and bust everything up. It can shake you to your core, just a little uncertainty. Because then you start doubting, then you start having confusion, and then it's tough to be discerning, and it's tough to be mindful. So we must always have a flexible attitude in everything we do. We must be ready to adapt. We must be ready to change course. What we're talking about today isn't something that you just do for a set amount of time and then you say, yeah, everything's copacetic, this all lines up, and I'm not going to pay attention anymore because it's always been good. Well, peace doesn't always last. And there is another axiom that I'll share along this topic, and it goes perfectly with what you said. Never be taken in by appearances. That which is extremely beautiful can be extremely dangerous. Always keep your eyes open. Always keep yourself open to whatever may come. And if by the end of this cause that you're fighting for, everything was perfect, everything was fine, everything was copacetic. Awesome, but you were at least ready. And you didn't have to deal with uncertainty, you didn't have to deal with confusion, you didn't have to deal with doubt. And sometimes that happens. And sometimes you must be prepared to act in opposition to the actions and words and demonstrations of others, even the ones you trust.
Yes, and this ties right back into number 9. See, again, look, these just stack on top of each other. Examine closely who benefits and how they do so. I mean, there is so much, especially when we take on big causes, that we don't get all the details up front. And we need to be very conscious of the things we want to take on. Who's truly benefiting from this cause? What are the benefits that are being provided by this cause that are unseen? How do they do so from this cause? We must be aware of all the workings of the things we decide to champion, because in the end, our name is going to be on what is the outcome of this. So we must have full awareness of those who are truly benefiting the most from what it is we are trying to stand up for.
And not just you, not just your name, but everyone else that you associate with, everyone else that you walk this path with. There's going to come a time where your actions and your words have matched for so long that you've built up trust in your sphere of influence, you've built up trust, and you are considered to be a person of high integrity and high character. But everyone you associate with will be judged by your conduct. If you belong to a group, and everyone knows you belong to a group, or you belong to a certain faith, you belong to anything that anybody can relate back to another, you are representing not just yourself, but them too. That's why it's important that we not only encourage people to do the best they can and to try and follow the principles that they uphold and the principles that they teach and the principles that they demonstrate, because it's not just you. Also, if you act out of character, if you act inappropriately, now everyone in the cause that you're fighting for is also going to be seen as A, B, or C.
Which then ties right into examine closely who is harmed and why. And that includes yourself. You must be very conscious of who is going to be involved in the cause you are championing. So often we get caught in the beauty of a cause and what we think we are striving to protect, create, whatever. And in the end, we can very easily miss who is it that's going to be directly impacted by this cause and their trajectory and the actions they are taking. Because you can see that there are many big causes where there are very effective and political movements where people are trying to have discussions, create action through getting involvement. But then you see the opposite, where you see riots, you see chaos. And the important thing to do when you are championing any cause is to evaluate who is going to be harmed by the trajectory of what it is that I am championing.
And you will know that if you follow the steps through from becoming aware of a cause or getting ready to dedicate yourself to a cause, and you stay aware and open and ready to move, ready to adapt, ready to change tactics, or even ready to leave the cause. Whatever the case may be, if you're constantly going through the things that we've talked about today, you will be better suited and better prepared for these kinds of things. Who benefits, right? And what is the end goal? Where do you see it going? It's difficult to tell the future. I get it. We even have an axiom that tells you not to worry too much about the future, to be mindful, to be present. But sometimes it's good to kind of see where things are heading so that you can, again, adjust, adapt, change course.
No, it's the truth. And again, we kind of went into detail on each of these things, but it's just a list of things to evaluate whenever it is you want to take anything on. There are so many things in life that we are passionate about, and so many things we want to start doing and take action with. And awareness is the most important thing you can bring into anything you are evaluating as something you want to take on for yourself. And so, not every situation needs a sword, but sometimes bold action and a stance of defense are all that is needed. We have to be accountable with ourselves and the things that we take on ourselves. And again, just because you go through this list and you take on a task that you want to champion, you can always evaluate where you're at. You can always evaluate where the cause is at. And you can always decide it is not the path for you if it takes a wrong turn. It's all about being humble and not judging yourself and allowing yourself the flexibility and authenticity to do what is right in any given moment, even if it wasn't what was right 6 months ago when you started.
Well, and I'll also say, as you're going through this and as you're evaluating a cause, and you know, when things become kind of wonky or counter to what you believe, you don't necessarily have to just up and quit. You don't have to run away. You don't have to join the opposition, because there's probably some problems there too, right? As you said earlier, no cause is perfect, and no cause's conduct is perfect. However, if you feel like it's still worth working with and working towards, then do take steps to change it within the cause. Bring it up to the founders, the leaders, or if you're a leader yourself, make those changes. Start to move people into the direction that you think, or into the direction towards kind of more balanced, that align more with your principles. I would suggest that anybody who finds these flaws, don't be too judgmental. Be kind, be empathetic, be compassionate, be patient. But also, if you're going to stick around and work towards fixing some of these things, work towards bettering that group or bettering that cause, or at least bringing to light the flaws you see, and perhaps there can be a solution found within the larger group. Because maybe the leaders or the founders, maybe they don't realize that there are these things happening, and they need to get a hold of it, get it under control.
So well said, though, because if you can actually help change the course of the cause, I don't even know why I didn't bring that up, but it's so true. Everything is malleable, and doesn't mean you can force things to change in the way you want, but if you are effective, if you can approach things and have those hard conversations, you could create something even greater than the original vision.
But only do so from a place of truth. Truth in all things.
Yes.
Truth in all things. Well, I have a practice, an exercise for everyone to kind of rolls into everything we've talked about today. Do you mind if I share that?
Yeah, please do.
So we're going to call this, and I'm fond of coming up with goofy names for things, but just let me have that, guys, okay? This exercise is going to be called the Champion's Reflection Practice. Step 1, examine your cause. Write down the cause you feel passionate about, and ask yourself these two questions. Is this cause rooted in justice, fairness, and compassion? And am I seeking this for the benefit of all? Or is it rooted in ego, revenge, personal gain, or some other kind of shadowy thing? Step 2, evaluate your conduct. Reflect on your approach and behavior. And reflect on these two things. Do my actions reflect the values of the cause that I champion? Do they even align, right? Am I acting with patience, respect, and humility? Or am I finding myself being pushed towards anger and impulsiveness? Step 3 is where we adjust and align. Make a commitment to refine your approach, focusing on intentional and peaceful action that serves the greater good. You have anything to add to the exercise?
No, I think you really had a good approach there as far as helping people evaluate what they're wanting to get involved with.
It's just a quick little thing to kind of, if anything, it just kind of moves your awareness into that realm, and you're going to do what you feel is right at the end of the day. And I really wish you the best, but I would caution you to, of course, make sure you are doing things and demonstrating things that are in alignment with both what you believe and what the cause believes. Our affirmation for the day: I act with purpose and integrity. My cause is just and my actions reflect the light and harmony I seek to create. For my journalers out there, I want you to reflect on a time when your conduct either strengthened or weakened the cause you were fighting for. What lessons did this experience teach you about aligning actions with principles? And last but not least, our question of the day: have you ever fought for a cause and had to reassess either your motives or actions? If so, what did you learn from the experience? Share your story using the hashtag #JustCause. Michael, did you have you ever fought for something that and you had to reassess reassess either your motives or actions?
Yeah, actually, I had a friend I was helping out, a mother and her kids, and they wound up in a really tough situation. So I took them in and I helped them out, and slowly attachment formed as the notions were happening, and she ended up having to leave the place, and I kept supporting this family and helping them through all their trials and tribulations. But more and more I realized my mission of being there for them led to self-abandonment, and that I was in a sense being taken advantage of because there wasn't the proper communication, there wasn't the proper awareness, and I realized attachment is what was driving the force. And I made sure they got to a place where they found their own home, were in a better spot. But once that happened, I removed myself from the situation because I realized the cause I was championing became a self-centered one, because in the end I was acting out my own need to be a hero and help fix a situation. And so I had to remove myself afterwards because I wasn't acting from a place of integrity anymore.
So before we go, I want to encourage you guys out there to form a community discussion wherever you're at, whatever groups, orders, pages, friends, could be online, offline. Start a discussion wherever you're at within your sphere of influence. Talk about examples of fighting for justice or fighting for causes, both good ones and ones that turned out to be bad. How did that change your view? How did that change your life? Did the causes you fight for obtain victory? So also, I want to encourage you to use the exercise we provided today to kind of at least bring your awareness into kind of the realm of what we've been talking about today. Remember, everything's a practice. Every day, forever and always. No matter what your titles, no matter what your accolades that you get from your groups, your orders. And I hope this episode has inspired you to open your awareness and to at least periodically evaluate the causes you support and those causes that you champion and the methods that you use to pursue them. I also want to remind you that justice is not only about fighting for what is right, but also about embodying the values that define righteousness, leading by example and creating harmony through your demonstrations and your thoughtful actions. Did you have anything you wanted to leave with the folks today, Michael?
Just remember, you're always human. Very often we can find ourselves caught up in things that we did not realize we were caught up in. So again, give yourself grace, patience, and cultivate the skills we teach. It's not something that you learn and it's a flip of a switch. This is a lifestyle that takes time to cultivate, and there's nothing more important than being patient with yourself as you grow, evolve, and become the best version of yourself.
Even us old dogs, even an old man like me, practice, 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 practice. Well said. Thank you so much for joining us today. With love and gratitude, ad Lucem.